Good morning, it's the 21st of November 2023 and I'm going to go over my trading levels for today. On my screen is the MES. Let's go start with the daily. In fact, before we do that, let's look at the news for today. So big one later, FMOC minutes at 2 o'clock, and we've got 10 o'clock, we've got some moderate market moving news, so maybe we'll have to keep an eye at 10 o'clock. Okay, so and we had a little tiny bit of news at 8:30. I don't think that much moved in the market, but we've seen it trailing today. So something a bit different today. We haven't seen for a while. We're opening negative, or we're going to be. This is a bit of a sell-off in the post-market and the pre-market, or the Asian market, and so I've got a few levels based on that. Still hard to find shorts right now, but I've got a few bounce areas. Probably the only area I want to consider for a bounce. I originally had a level around here, but I got rid of that. I think this 50 moving average 45.40, which is also the top of that pivot, maybe the top of that pivot. So we've got a small area. I say that's a higher risk but the better area will be this previous support. You can see we held it there, we held it there, we held it there. We held it there, and we even came back and tested it on a pullback. And so I quite like if we get back down to 45.33 area, 45.30 to 45.34 area. I quite like the idea of a long or a bounce with confirmation at that level. And with confirmation, I'll be looking for a candle that looks a bit like that, and then the break of that candle. So I want to get in as it breaks, rather than averaging here, because you don't know whether it's going to keep coming down. If it does, we've got this level at 45.06 as well to keep an eye on. So two real bounce level areas really. So we've got a bounce at 45.33 area, and we've got the 45.06 area. Not sure about looking for a pre-market break and retest short. I haven't really back tested the shorts, but we've got a lot of resistance, a lot of support below, so I wouldn't want to be going short. Still don't want to be going short because we are in an uptrending market. Uptrend in 200, we've still got an uptrend in 50 moving average as well. However, I may consider a scalp rejection off of that area. So we came up, we've tested, we kind of, it's the bottom of this demand zone, this supply zone as well, and that's 45.58. Potentially we could be looking for a short at 45.66. It's a big area, so I'll be watching this area for potential double top and rejection down. That's it really. As for rejections, if we go back onto the daily, we've got this downward trend line from, I think it's the weekly, but let's look at the weekly first. I'm going to just align that up a bit better. That's better, that's where we want it. So the weekly, we've got this cup and handle pattern with the handle, and we've broken out of the handle. And we've got a potential rejection area up on this trend line, and that's 4600 area. So that's a major weekly and daily rejection area to keep an eye on. We're not far off it, but if we do come up into this region, I may be looking for a potential rejection. And that's the only rejection apart from that higher risk one we just discussed I can see really. Let's go back into the hourly. So we're not far from that area. I've got a level at 45.90 as well. That probably goes back a year maybe. I'm not going to go back and look now, but that's the level we'll be looking at. There's also around the 4600 area, so that's the area I'll be watching for rejection. So just to recap the MES. We've got a high risk rejection, 45.64. Even higher risk rejection at the bottom of that supply zone, this red zone, and that's at 45.60 area. But I'll keep an eye on that. It's below all the moving averages, so potentially we're looking for a bit of a pullback and continuation of the down. We're not in a downtrend. I don't want to use the word downtrend, but this hourly downward move. I quite like the bounce off of 45.33, so that's the area I'm really watching for. I've got my alert ready for that as well. But I would also consider 45.40 area as a higher risk bounce as well. But if we are going to have a bit of a sell-off day today, then we break through these areas, we've got another bounce area at 45.06. And again, if we do sell off, we've got this gap we could fill as well. So we've got this void below, and if we do, I really want to be involved with that move down. So I'll be looking for a break and retest short of 45.06. Maybe I consider going short if we close on the hourly below 4,500. So that's kind of what I'm watching. SPY, it's very similar. In fact, it's identical. I've got a level in there from yesterday, so maybe a rejection off of yesterday's high. Could also act as a break and retest long as well. So keep an eye on that area. And this area of which was once support is now resistance. It was once resistance is now support. So a potential bounce at 451.46, and maybe 450 is a round number. So that entire green zone we've got here as well as a potential bounce area as well. Similar to MES, if we break through that one, keep the stops tight, we got another zone to watch for. Again, if we break down through 448, then we've got this void below when we gapped up on the CPI numbers, and we'll be coming back down into this area of support, and 440 is a potential bounce area as well if we ever get down there. That's it for SPY. Qs next. Same levels, not much different, slightly different because we've got this pivot here and we come up, we're still in an uptrend, so we could see something like that. The short area is below that area, 383.70, 383.69 area. We got the point of control as well at 385, so that could act as actual natural support if we come back down, and that could also be our bounce area. So 385 for a bounce. And do I like the double top? 394, 391.40, 392 area for potential rejection. Let's quick look on the day. You can see we've broken that pivot yesterday. We actually closed above it. It's confirming it. So we've broken out of that trend. We've now broken that pivot. The next pivot to watch for is all-time highs. So Qs is looking strong, and I imagine Nasdaq is as well. So let's look at Nasdaq. In fact, this is better than Qs. If we see a possible break and retest long there, heading towards all-time highs, below the moving averages as well, and that pivot. So if we come back up to 16.053, potential reject area. And then for the bounce, 15.840, 15.837 as a potential bounce. And then we've got this void below as well, and if we were to take this void, so I'm just adjusting those places. I'm sure they coincide with something later on. Yeah, top's about average, yes, that's fine. And let's see where that goes. Top of that pivot there, yeah. So that's, I quite like the bounce off of 15.837 long, and possibly the reject around here or up here, higher risk reject. And we've got the point of control as well at 15.900, this area here. So we could be watching for a potential bounce around here as well. That's Nasdaq. Look at oil. I've not looked at oil today. I'm not sure what it's doing. Oh, look at that. We talked about 77.98 yesterday as a potential reject, and that's what it did. potentially looking at an inverse head and shoulders pattern, so bear that in mind. Head, the makings of the right shoulder potentially. We've got a defined neckline in that area, which is the top of that area of demand. 78.80, 77, 78 area. So maybe two options. If we break the neckline and we're looking strong, then it's not head and shoulders, that invalidates that pattern. Break and retest at 79, or we can wait for the second shoulder to set up, so we could see something like that. That's what the original one I meant to do. Or the shoulder could be setting up right now, and then we can wait for the break and retest of the shoulder, or take a small one as we break out and then add to it when we come back. Reject wise, 82.30, 82 to 82.50 area for reject, and that's this area of support, and it's a point of control as well, the VPOC, where the most congested volume is around that area based on that volume profile. So 82 to 83 area for potential rejection, and I wouldn't like to go long there because we'd be going long into these pivots and could be a little bit of resistance, but one to keep an eye on. And then gold, look at that, it's breaking out. We talked about this as well. Equal highs there, V pattern, bounce off the 200. Is that an inverse head and shoulders? You could say it could be, and then the breakout and then the pullback to retest the head and shoulders pattern. That was a few days ago, so still like 2014 for a rejection, high risk rejection, or a break and retest long, and that'd be breaking recent highs, this year's highs. I think last highs was, oh no, yeah, this year's highs, I believe it is. Yeah, well, it's definitely recent months. Let's look at the hourly, daily. There, May 23. Okay, no, we've still got those highs to get through. May this year, April. But look at that, we've come up, we've put in this flag pattern, and we've broken out. Yeah, I quite like the break and retest still of 2014, that area there, break and retest along. That's what I'm watching for. If we come back down here, potentially we could be looking for a bounce area as well, and that's at 1931 area. And that's it really for gold. Looking strong right now. So let's go back to MES. Has anything happened in the last few minutes? No, we've been down. So just recap MES or ES levels. We've got a higher probability bounce at 4500 to 4506, this area here. We've got a higher probability bounce because it's with the trend at 4533 area. And don't forget, we've got high concentrated volume just below, so we've got high volume around here. So a stop could be that pivot, or if we're down in that area, maybe the next two pivots along. Rejection wise, we could look for a rejection off the VWAP today. One thing I will do, I'll put in the anchored VWAP in a second, and then we can watch for a rejection off of yesterday's highs, that area as well, which is 45.64. So let's go into the 5 minute, and that's the last thing to do. We have any data at AFO? We had marginal data. So you can't even see it on the chart, so it wasn't much what moved. But on the open, what I will do is I will put in this anchored VWAP. And it's a good guide. If we're trading below it, we shouldn't be going long. If we're trading above it, we shouldn't really be going short, but we're right in the middle of it right now, so it doesn't really give much away. So we'll keep an eye on that. Okay. Hopefully this made sense of the video. Thank you for watching. Look at this as well in the pre-market. One thing to notice, increase in volume shown on the sell-off. potentially increasing volume, ending volume potentially, which is that candle there. Zoom in a bit. Ending volume 840. Doesn't really look like an ending volume candle though, but we've got bottom tail, that's indecision. Bottom tails, bottom tail, we've got this rather bullish hammer, not quite a hammer candle, but a bottom tail candle. So potentially we might be seeing a change of trend. Increase in volume, hard to tell with pre-market volume, but the volume's coming in right now, and potentially that may be showing us the end of a trend. And it's the most volume we've had in the post and pre-market. Last bit of volume was here, and that was kind of getting this end of that trend, and we had a bit of a bounce. End of a trend, bit of a bounce, more volume coming in there, end of a trend, bit of a bounce. And then it's been increasing volume on those candles, and then steadily increasing volume, and then you can see that quite clearly, increasing volume and potentially ending volume, but we'll see. Okay, trade safe, and I will recap my videos at the end of today. Recap my trades at the end of today.